Oh my god, the host just triple slapped me.
You see who's food running tonight?
56 was just sitting there making out the entire time I was trying to take
Why do we have
order.
so many servers on the floor? Did you hear about 73?
This is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental.
Oh my god, and I was just, and it's
I want
yellow.
my kids to smell like pineapple all the time.
Absolutely. Like, they still kind of do. But,
I was going to say, can I smell your tits? Do they smell like pineapple? Ooh,
right?
That is really nice.
It's really nice. And so I got this jar. It was $14. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to use it every day after the shower until it runs out. And let's see how soft I am.
You do really soft titties.
Right?
Yeah, those are nice.
So soft. So it's like, this is just day one, but I'm like, fuck it, $14. Like, I'd
have soft, nice smelling
Nice
tits.
smelling
100%.
tits,
Yeah.
here for it. Not mad at all.
No, never. I might come over tomorrow when you saw.
You should. It smells great. It's like, it's very pineapple forward, but it's also like tropical.
Welcome back to Rolling Silverware. I'm Kat.
I'm Bunny.
And this is our post-shift shit talk.
And we've got some shit to talk.
Yeah, yesterday was an interesting day. I mean, this whole week has been an absolute shit week for me. I did not have a great week. I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I've been having like a lot of anxiety over something kind of in my personal life, and a lot of that kind of accumulated this past Wednesday.
Really
and
came to a head this week.
Yeah, it came to a head. I had to put one of my pets down, and that was really fucking hard on me because at 9 o'clock in the morning, I had to go with my cat to the vet.
Yeah.
And I left with an empty carrier.
Ugh.
And then at 4
you can't tell me again. I'm going to lose it all over again. I loved her dearly. This is...
And then I had to come to work at 4 o'clock.
I can't believe you did that. I would have called out immediately. Like, well, I don't care how poor I am. You're probably not going to see me on the day that my cat has been put down. Like,
yeah.
It
was
just rough. Yeah, and I know you needed the money, and I totally get it, but
it was definitely part of it was the fact that, you know, it's not cheap, right, to do that, but also I would have rather have been like busy and doing something, and you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be sitting at home staring at her cat tree and her food bowl, and you know what I mean? Like, thinking about like, when am I gonna clean this, and you know, what am I going to do with it, stuff like that. So I wanted to be somewhere that was not my house, and I wanted to be busy. I wanted to have my mind not focusing on it.
True.
And then we weren't busy at all, so that reeked. Hated it. And the day before,
you could have come over to my house.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh no, wait! I had my show that day. You could not have. I went to a concert.
That's right. Yeah. So you're just having fun. It's fine. I'm crying.
It was an amazing night. I had a really great time. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. But then just, you know, so I would say a couple hours in, we weren't busy. You know, it was every 20 minutes I was in the back just having a hard time. So I asked, like, hey, can I be first cut? Like, I know typically this section doesn't get cut.
Right.
But
I really need it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. Go home. And then the next day was my day off. So I was able to, you know, kind of do what I needed to at the house. And then yesterday, again, I was just kind of like not feeling it. It wasn't busy enough to keep my mind off of everything, but the restaurant was going down in shambles. So the gossip of it all was definitely like, you know, worth being there.
Yesterday was nuts.
Yeah. And then today was kind of the same, you know, it's just like, it was just blah. It was a blah day.
Well, you had a morning shift today. Tonight was we had a busy night. I think I was never overwhelmed, but I think the restaurant just did well. I will say though, we cleared out at like 8:30.
Ooh,
so
hour and a half
to go
to just sit around.
Yeah, because I mean, I called you at what, 9?
Yeah, and
15
I said
something?
when you called me, I was like, it's way too early for you to be calling me. Like, what's happening?
Because I had nothing.
That's crazy.
Like, and nobody had anything like that. I got the last table, and they were just sitting paid out until about 9:30. Oof. But even then, I'm playing that game of like, is anybody gonna walk in? Like,
yeah, are we gonna get that weird last minute
I won't be mad, but if you do it in 20 more minutes, I will. You know, like one of those.
Yeah, today was very much just the opener. Typically, again, my section doesn't get cut for the shift. Like, I have to wait for a relief to come on later in the night. But the opener was like, hey, I'm really trying to stay, and they cut me, and I was like, I'll take the cut. Like, you move into my section, I'll take the cut, I'll go home instead. Because I had, I think at that point, like 4 tables, and it wasn't busy. It wasn't dead. We
Right.
definitely had tables in the restaurant, but it was just one of those things where I was like, I want to go home. I want to do dishes and, vacuum up the carpet. And you know what I mean? There was just
Right.
like things that I wanted to do at the house.
Other than being at work.
Other than
Sure.
being at work where, I'm making okay money, but it wasn't going to be
No.
one of those days where it was like, oh, this,
Yeah.
not like the night you had.
I had an amazing night at work.
Yeah.
It started
Let's talk
hot.
about the new sections. They changed the
Yeah,
sections.
we
for
changed the
lead
hammer section
servers.
on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of being like landlocked, I called it like in those, we had, it's 4 tables only per server.
Right.
And the hammers on the weekends got like landlocked in this back section, like back of the main dining area where you just got 4 tables. Two of those tables could possibly fit 6 people, but that didn't happen all the time.
No, sometimes they would seat a party at 2 there because
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah, in this massive long booth.
Right.
And then there was no other available tables for us to pick up. Like if ever they needed somebody to pick up a table, it was like in the private dining room and it went to whoever was closest to that area because I wasn't closest to that.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I understand that, but like I have legs
Yeah.
and they work. And it's funny because when none of the other servers are on for the day, because I open, I'm the opener of the nighttime shift.
You're first on. Yeah.
I'm the first on, and then I'm the last to leave. And at being the first on, sometimes I get 7, 8 tables before anybody else ever shows up, and those tables can be outside. They can be in the private dining. They can be in the middle section where the large parties go. They can be anywhere and between. But yet, once all the other servers get on, it's like, no, just those 4 tables.
Yeah.
Just those for you, and don't even think of asking for anything else because every other fucking table in the restaurant has been assigned to somebody.
Yeah.
So after, I don't know how many months of complaining that this is bullshit, they finally decided to listen to us as hammers, and I think our new manager, I think the new host manager is probably the one most to thank for that.
He absolutely
I think
is,
he
yeah.
is the one that is speaking up on our behalf. And I couldn't appreciate him more.
And he's not even the server manager.
No,
He's
I
the
think he
host
just
manager.
sees how things aren't being run well.
Right.
And so thank you for that.
But also, so many people have talked to, I think, our server manager, and her response is, I don't have a good answer for you. I don't
Right.
have a good answer for you.
Or
But-
let me see what I can do because she's so worried about what she can and can't do when really all you have to do, I'm just asking you to start the conversation.
Yep.
I don't need change tomorrow, but he brought it up in their manager meeting.
Finally. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
Just start the conversation, get the ball rolling.
he's been with us outside of his MIT, when he first went onto the floor. It's been, 3-4 weeks?
If that,
tops?
yeah.
And all of the hammers have spoken to him about the exact same situation. And he brought it up in a manager meeting.
Right.
That they do in the middle of transition on a Saturday.
that they do at the busiest possible time
Yeah.
for one server. So their conclusion was to give us not more tables.
No, of
Mind
course
you.
not. You need 4.
Right, only 4 ever, but to give us our 3 6-top available tables in our original section, and then to give us this 8-top round table that's in the big party section. And I said, we all got talked to. All of the hammers got spoken to. I think we talked about it last week. And I said, hey, okay, fine. If that's what you want to do, fine. I don't want to take parties of 13 because I can't fit all those drinks on a tray, and that bothers me.
And you
I
have
don't
to
want
split it with somebody else. Fuck that.
Well, no, a 13 or less goes to one person, right?
Oh.
Or 12 or less, whatever. But I don't want to. I don't want to be making multiple trips just to get the drinks out, Plus having other tables. Anyway, so they decided to give us this 8-top, and
And you were lead both last night and tonight.
right.
So
and
you
last
had that
night,
section both
last night I
nights.
only got 2 8-top, or I got a 7-top and then an 8-top, I think.
Okay.
Last night. And last night was fine. I'm not complaining, but we weren't.
We weren't overly busy.
We
last
weren't
night, yeah.
overly busy last night, but tonight I got 4 8-tops throughout the night.
Incredible.
Yeah. And also keep in mind, before anybody else got there, I also had a 7-top off to the side. I also had a patio table. I also had 3 tables in my section. So I was doing good before anybody got there. And then, that table got sat repeatedly. And they're making a point to sit that table instead of sitting, 2 other tables pushed together for a party of 8.
Yep.
Now they're making it a point to sit that round table and to give it to us. So yeah, my sales were like 2,500 tonight.
That's what it should be.
Exactly.
For a Saturday night for your lead server.
For your lead server, the one who is in charge of making sure everybody else does their job. And because it's not me every night, I want all the other hammers to benefit as well. But we were all complaining because it wasn't paying out anymore.
On any shift.
It wasn't paying out. Like, yes, I'm here an hour or two longer. Like, for my whole shift, I'm here an hour or two longer than other people. But that doesn't mean fuck all to me when their sales are double mine.
Exactly.
That's where our money comes from, is how many people are in my section. I had 50 guests tonight.
That's crazy.
50 guests.
Good for you.
Because you know how it gives you the breakdown at the end? It was 50 guests in my section tonight.
So good.
Yeah, so tonight was really good. I made really good money. I had really, really nice people at all of those parties of 8. Beautiful people. Like, loved every single one of them. No problems. Kitchen was on it tonight. No real issues.
Nice.
It flowed, and everybody else seemed to do just fine too. Like, we weren't crazy busy, and I don't think at any point we were on a wait, but it did flow okay. But throughout the night, I've got everybody coming up to me, hey, what's up with the sections? Like, the sections are all different now.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because you guys don't have to do half the work I do, and yet you're like, it wasn't making, like, it didn't make sense. Make it make sense, right? So yeah, today I can say I liked it. I thought it was great.
Even yesterday, not making, 2,500 in sales, like, did you still like the section? Did you feel like that was a little bit more fair?
I felt like it was fair. I would appreciate that maybe towards the end of the night, if they could cut the other person that shares my section with me now, because there's somebody in the other 3 booths in my section.
Right across from yours.
Right.
Yeah.
If they could cut that person a little earlier, because if we're not seating that 8 top, now I only have 3 tables.
True.
So we'll see how it plays out going forward.
Yeah.
If we consistently have, because you can put 6 people at that round table, and that'd be fine. You can have 2 empty chairs. I don't think anybody would complain about being there. It's a nice table. The chairs are nice.
Yeah, they're comfy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not so big that you can't talk to everybody across the table. You know, like it makes sense as a table for even a 6 top. So if they consistently sit it, then great. I'm happy with that. But if they don't, we're just going to have to see. But
yeah, because your hammer should never just be sitting at 3 tables all night and never having a 4th table. That should never be a realistic option.
Right, because you count on me to not only be here before anybody else, but I assign all the side work, and then I make sure everybody does all their side work, and if they don't, I get spoken to. They don't. They don't care who did side work B last night. They care that I didn't check it.
Right.
Or that I didn't finish it for them.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about last night when Mr. Magic the Gathering thought that he was going to fuck off without signing out.
This was the funniest thing. I'm sorry. I told a different server about this when it was currently happening. Okay, so I came to you and I was like, great. So I watch him with his checkout, right? I watch him walk into the office and I wait. And I wait, and I wait, and he does not come back out, meaning nobody has looked at him and said, hey, you didn't check out with your hammer. You need to go and see, if everything's okay.
Which the managers 100% need to be doing because I've heard you bring this to their attention. And I've also talked to other lead servers that have brought this to the management's attention.
Right.
To say, like, people are checking out and not getting checked out. They're not doing their side work. They're not finishing their tables.
And then it falls on me to do it because you didn't tell them to check out with me. And instead you let them fuck off for the night and half of their shit's not done. Yep. Or, like, granted, it should fall on the lead server if I don't check somebody out, but I feel even worse when it falls on their side work buddy. Like, when you have a buddy doing side work and your buddy just fucked off without doing anything.
Now you have to do all
now
of it
you have to
on
do
a busy Saturday.
Right, and now you're completely fucked doing an hour and a half's worth of side work by yourself when you were supposed to share it. Like, and you're watching everybody else, share everything. That's what bothers me actually more than me having to pick up the slack, because I'm just like, fuck, like, you weren't supposed to have to do this all on your own.
Yeah.
So he walks into the office, does not come back out for a while. And then when he does come back out, he heads straight to the back. So I come up to Kat and I'm like, yeah, so apparently you just don't need a hammer signature anymore and you can just fucking leave whenever you want to leave. And you were like, what's going on? What happened? And I was like, well, Magic the Gathering just did his checkout and fucking bounced. And you're like, where is he? And I'm all, I don't know. You're like, did he leave? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. They don't fucking care. And I'm just throwing my little tangent while I'm trying to clean up the rest of my stuff. And you immediately stormed to the back locker area.
And I found him.
No, yeah, and you found him. And
I would have walked out to the parking lot and told him to park his car. I was on a mission to find him.
Because you're like, I'll fucking tell him. And it's like,
100%.
it's not that I wouldn't have, if he had walked past me, I would have told him. I would have said, because I'm not afraid of this guy. I just would have been like, hey, check out with me. Because I didn't even get a chance to look at your tables. Did you do your tables? I don't know, because we have not spoken.
But here is the problem, is you are a much kinder person than I am.
This is very true.
Like, people, you know what I mean? You are kind. You are nice to people. Even after everything had happened, when you were talking to him, you're like, yeah, it's just one of those things, like, you need to make sure you check out with me, because then at the end of the night, you know, it falls on me.
Right.
And so you had a very diplomatic way of going about it. I walked up to him and I said, hey, what were your tables? And he goes, oh, I was on the patio. And I was like, the whole thing? And he goes, well, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I start walking away. And I didn't know what he was doing at that point, but he started following me.
That's what I saw. So I see Kat storming out to the patio. I'm in the kitchen, and I see her storming out to the patio, and then him very shortly in tow, looking like a hurt puppy dog, like a scolded puppy dog.
As he should.
He is walking head down behind you.
And he's asking me, he was like, oh, why? Like, what was going on? And I was like, oh, because you didn't check out with your hammer. And I walk immediately out to the patio and I start going through, because at the end of the night, we have to dust all of our tables.
Right.
It's like, or crumb, right?
Yeah.
The benches
you
and stuff.
Decrumb everything, and you've got to fill your sauces and your salt and pepper if they happen to be low.
Exactly. You have to check the condiments that stay on the table and make sure. And that's most restaurants. Like, that's not a crazy thing for us to ask of our servers. I would say a lot of restaurants I've worked at,
almost every single one.
Yeah, you have to make sure the sugars are all, you know, there's enough there, blah, 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 whatever. And I go out there and I want to say half of all of the condiments needed to be refilled. So I just started pulling them off. We put them at the end of the night for the patio. We put them on the hutch.
Yeah.
That's out there. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, you need to make sure that you check out with your hammer. And I was like, you know, just because your patio doesn't mean you don't have to do this. And I turned around and walked the fuck away. That kid is going to hate me the rest of his life. He will never like me.
Kat comes up to me and she's like, yeah, he's doing it. And I was like, did he not do his tables? And you were like, no. About half of them were empty. So I peek out and I can see him out at the hutch filling things. And I walked over to a different server and I was like, Kat's my bulldog. She's my tough, ready to rumble bulldog. And he just starts laughing because he's like, what happened? And so I told him what happened. And he's like, oh, I love that. Like, that's so great.
Yeah, and I would do
it's not that I wouldn't have told him if I saw him. It's just that I assumed if you're going to do your checkout and then I watch you, like, you have passed way past me and now you're all the way in the back, I don't think I'm going to see you again. Why would I assume I was going to see you again? So that's why when I did speak to him later and he was like, oh, I was going to check out with you before. Like, I'm still on the clock. I wasn't going to leave. And that's why I was like, well, I need to sign that piece of paper. Like, there needs to be proof that you spoke to me.
And that's the thing, what I was going to do specifically. My point in that wasn't necessarily to degrade this poor man. And, you know, I love doing it. But in this moment in time, I really was just going to check if he had done his tables.
Right.
And if he hadn't, and if he hadn't finished his side work, I was going to yell at the manager.
Yeah, well, I was ready to yell at the manager, too, because I was going to be like, I'm sorry, you guys are holding me to this standard, but you're not holding yourselves to be able to take 1 fucking second to look for my
signature,
very obvious signature on a checkout.
Right.
Like, I don't hide it. It's not like this, I wrote it in the corner. Like, I fucking...
Yeah, in the smallest handwriting ever. No, I'm not in 7th grade
It's very
anymore.
obviously my initials smack dab in the middle of the checkout.
And all the hammers do it that way for a specific reason,
right,
so that it's easy to find.
They're good to go. And that used to be absolutely standard. Like, there's no way... You know how many times I got an okay from the hammer because they were so busy that they're just like, yeah, go ahead, right? And I would go into the office just to have my checkout handed back to me, and they told me, go get this signed. Mm-hmm. So if that happened to me, why is it not happening to fucking anybody else?
Right. And that was my whole purpose of doing that, was I was going to look at the manager.
It was a lot of fun. I'm glad you did. I enjoyed it so much.
I had a great time, but the purpose of it was to tell the manager, like, hey, we've talked to you about this within the last couple of weeks. You need to make sure you need to make sure there's a signature on it, because Magic the Gathering did not do his tables. He did not finish his side work. Like,
and there's a handful of other people that like to slip out on the last bit of stuff, you know?
Exactly.
And when I'm not able to pay attention because I'm in the heat of my cleaning and everything else, and they like to just, bounce right out. And then he spoke to me tonight too.
Did he?
And he came up to me and he's like, when he got there. and he like walked into the beverage station with me, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know that like I had no intention of leaving last night, and I wasn't.
Why were you going to the lockers?
He's like, I wasn't clocked out, and like I was like, hey, it's fine. I'm like, it's just I really need you to do that before, so that way I know you've done what you're supposed to do. The managers know that you've done what you were assigned to do, and there's no if it can't come back on me, you know. I'm like, because I just need you to understand that I have in fact been scolded and reprimanded for things not getting done because somebody didn't check out with me.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I got it. He's like, I didn't know that there was an order in which it needed to be done.
Crazy, because you went through training, right?
Yeah, and guess who fucking trained him? At least 2 of the days. I did. And so, yeah, I told you that. Like, I absolutely told you that. I'm sorry, but I did. I do believe that he had every intention of finding me at some point. He enjoys my company. I don't think he would ever do anything to screw me over. He does know that he has to get some form of an, okay, you're good to go. And I will admit that last week when he had asked me like, oh, you know, like, am I good to go? Do you need anything? I gave him like 7 more things to do. I was like, yeah, you got time. I don't. So I need this, and this. All within realm of what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Like for his side work. But did he have to do all of it? I mean, he should. But
what happened yesterday is the exact reason of most likely why they won't let me lead.
She was storming. It was almost like cartoon-esque. Just the mad bulldog, like donk, 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 like heading off to go and retrieve the cat that is not behaving. You know, it was a Tom and Jerry skit.
Yeah. I was just thinking Tom and Jerry.
The Tom and Jerry dog. I was Jerry. I was Jerry, and she was very much what's his name? Is it Butch? I don't even know what that dog's name is. And he was very much Tom being scolded for fucking something up. It was a really good time though. I was just in a good mood when I came in today. Like I had a good day. Some personal stuff happened that I'm glad that is, you know, finalized and dealt with and over with. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm ready to like looking forward to the future kind of stuff. And so when I came in today, like it was a little hectic right at the start because they were like, would you mind clocking in 2 minutes early? And I'm like, I would. You'll see me in 2 minutes. Like I'm out on the back dock and I'm like, I'm going to take these 2 because I walked in and I had 3 different people telling me, hey, so, and I'm like, nothing. No. So nothing. You shouldn't even don't look at me. I'm not on the clock. Don't even look, invisible. You don't even recognize me. Like I just came in the front door because the back door was locked. Like I didn't even want you to know I was here.
Yeah.
But I did speak to our newer manager, and I told him, I was like, oh, yeah, it looks like a repeat of last Saturday, which was fucking crazy. And he goes, yeah, you know, like we are seeing the cracks, you know, and he was in a great mood as well. But I looked at him and I go, but I'll tell you right now, I am in a great mood today and I'm going to take it in stride. And he goes, I'm also in a great mood today. Let's do this, you know?
Love.
And then he immediately hopped into helping and it was great.
Yeah. I was going to say, did I notice correctly that there was you and the lounge on for an hour, just the 2 of you, between 4 and 5?
That is
correct.
The
third server didn't come on until 5 o'clock at night.
That is correct. So that was spoken to at the end of the night with the server manager, and she informed me that for the next schedule that is happening, that she's putting out, and from here on forward, at least through the summer months and when we're busy,
right,
Saturdays will have another 4 o'clock, if not a 4:15 person.
I was going to say, there
which we
used to be a 4:15,
have. We had a
4:15.
And that's what I told her. I said, listen, all I need on Saturday is one other person in the main dining with me. Like, yes, have me and have the lounge, but we are separated. You're giving me 50 tables to account for, and you're giving them 7, you know? So it's like, can you please, because I get it. When people walk in at 4:15, they look around that restaurant and they go, well, it's empty.
Yeah, seat me, yeah.
It's empty except for the 7 tables that the one server that's on has, you know? And so that, like, I get it. They don't want to put people on a wait because it looks bad. I understand. But that's why we had that 4:15 person.
Yeah.
Like, if I could have 5 and they could have 5, guess what? We're both
Gucci.
We're both starting out really good, and this is going to be fine. So she was like, no, we will have an earlier person, and then we're just going to cut sooner. And I was like, yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Cut everyone at fucking 7:30. I don't care. I don't care. Like, let somebody come in and just crank out with me right at that very beginning of a Saturday.
That transition needs to be better.
Especially during the summer months. Yeah. Like, are you kidding? An hour?
That's crazy. I noticed that, yeah.
Last Saturday, it was me and I was the lounge. It was me and the hammer. I had tables on the patio. I had 5 patio tables and then an entire section to myself. Like I said, I know we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I can't handle a lot of tables. It's that I can't handle a lot of tables in one moment.
The minute you clock in, yeah.
In one moment. Like, if in less than 20 minutes I have gone from 0 tables to 8, holy shit. It's so many steps, you know? But she informed me tonight. She's like, yes, so it will be changed, like, from here on forward. I was like, cool,
That's good,
great.
yeah.
That's all I could ask. And then, get rid of everybody else at the end of the night. I don't care. I'll take all the tables that come in at the end of the night. Fine. That's how we used to run it.
Mm-hmm.
And it made sense.
And it worked. Like, it never felt as crazy as, recently it has been.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the loudest ball that's ever been dropped?
Yeah.
As you've deemed
as I called it. So last night, I get to work, and we had a party of 25 set for the patio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long ago they made that reservation. I don't know if it was a day or 2 ago, but we had a party of 25 set for the patio, and maybe 6 of them had already arrived.
So what I was told from the bartender, our resident bartender, one that's been there with us for the longest, she said that they specifically made the reservation to be like a cocktail hour. So it was meant to be in the bar.
Oh, shit.
It was meant to take up the 40s, that back, like the 4 tables that are in that like patio section just off of the bar. And like the last table, the self-seating tables, 36 and 37 at the bar, and like maybe even 34, 35. So
it'd be so awkward for 25 people.
It would be super awkward, but also, if you think about the sections, they were going to have the bartenders take that party.
How?
So now you're taking away tables from your lounge. Like,
even still, if you do or you don't, but you want to make the bartenders go all the way out the other end of the bar to then go and check on those tables outside?
Well, apparently they were just going to come up to the bar, and like they all had separate checks. They it was
a disgusting amount of separate checks.
Yeah, they said when they made the reservation that they were going to have 25 separate checks.
That's disgusting.
So we're just
buddy up. Come on. You don't have one other person you can you can't cut that into 14. You can't. You can't cut it into fucking 12 checks.
Why in the fucking world would management listen to somebody on the phone say that and be like, sounds great?
Dope.
Let's do that. Bartenders on a Saturday. Fuck off.
No, Friday night. It was Friday night. It was last night.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. It was
Friday night still. It's not
still
a
disgusting.
Tuesday afternoon. Like, this is fucking stupid. But that's what it was meant to be.
Okay.
Which is already a bad situation.
Of course.
From the get.
So I get to work and I'm checking the floor plan. Like, that's all I'm doing. I'm just checking the floor plan. I just want to see what's going on. I'm checking what reservations we have for the night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing about this 25. While our general manager is outside talking to them. And then she comes inside and she's like, so I'm going to move them into the private dining area. And I go, oh, we have this other party that I just saw for 16 or 18, something like that, requested the private dining at 6 o'clock. It's 4:15 at this time.
And only 7 of the 25 have shown up at this point.
And she's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to let them have the private dining, and then they're going to be out by 6. I told them that they have to be up and clear by like 5:45. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, an hour and a half for 25 people? Like, that feels wrong. Like, that feels like something that might not happen. So she allows them to come in and set up inside. So they push all the tables together, right, where we do large parties in there often.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get all the tables pushed together, which takes another like 5 minutes. So now we're getting closer to 4:30. And these people start setting up. They don't just set up. They have decorations. They have balloons. They have streamers. They have confetti. It's a retirement party. Yep. They have fucking pictures of the person who is retiring. And it's like, what? Like, I looked in that room and I was like, they're not moving. And then the server who was taking them had just clocked in. Like, they even clocked her in a few minutes early to start getting them ready. And I'm looking in there, I'm like, I don't know about that. And so then the night goes on, that party slowly trickles in. Like, I don't even think everybody even arrived until 5.
Right.
And then they slowly start their drink orders or whatever. And then they start setting up a table of 16 and they're telling me that I'm going to take it with my server that's like a buddy in my section, right? And I go, yeah, we can handle that. And they're like, okay, it's a surprise proposal.
Yeah.
So nobody in the party knows about the proposal. And I look at our managers, because I'm looking at 3 of them. And I go, is this the party that requested that room. And they go, well, it's not necessarily that they requested it. It's that we decided we were going to put them in there. And I go, no. Maybe you're not hearing me. In the notes, in their open table reservation, it says private dining room requested. Mm-hmm. They didn't call it the PDR. They didn't know it was called the PDR. But it said the private dining area requested. So I look at the managers again and I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And so then and they're like, well, we don't think that party's going to be done by 6.
No, they're not.
Says the general manager. And I look at her and I go, no shit.
I told you that an hour and a half ago.
And I told her that. The server who was taking the 25 told her that. One of our other managers told her that. And she still decided to do the go ahead with it. No holds barred. I was just like, no shit. I don't know what you expected. And she just, shrugs or whatever. And she's like, we're just going to make do. So I tried to convince them to put it in your section. Not that I necessarily wanted to pass the table off to anybody other than me. I was fine taking it with the other guy. I love him. I think we would have rocked out on that party. It would have been great. Mm-hmm. But I was like, at least tuck them in a different corner then. Instead of dead center in the middle of a restaurant when they requested something hidden and off to the side, but you had a corner section.
I did, I was in the back.
We could have put all those tables together and made it fit. And I was like, I feel like that would be more secluded, a little bit more what they were hoping for.
Right.
And server manager was like, oh, well, I kind of I think the same. Let's see if we can talk about that. And then I heard nothing else about it until the party of 16 arrived. Mm-hmm. And then
they put him in my section. They walked him back into my section. And they are kind of standing there. And the lady looks at, I say the lady, I'm assuming she's the host or the person that made the reservation. But she looks at the hostess and she goes, it's really interesting that you walked us back here because I requested that room when I made the reservation. And I jumped in because this is the hostess that gets all the complaints for not being kind or nice with our guest. Knowing
2 complaints were made tonight as well.
I know, that's what I'm saying. She gets them all the time.
Well, it was her and the other host that gets a lot of
the
complaints.
little blondie?
No, the one that's been here for a long time.
Oh, 7 year gives
shitty responses to everybody.
Yeah.
Anyways, two separate of my tables complained about the host tonight, and I was just like, wow, that's weird.
She gets a lot of complaints, and so the lady, this very sweet older lady, is looking at her hostess that gives massive attitude by just standing there. And she goes, that's really interesting you walked us back here because we requested that room. And I jumped
room that's
immediately
full of 25 people. Yeah, it's weird how that would happen.
I immediately jumped in and I was like, I'll grab a manager for you. And I immediately book it over to the general manager. And I was like, they're upset that they're sat there because they requested that when they made the reservation. They requested the private dining area.
It's almost like numerous people told her that this would happen.
It's so weird.
Almost like she had all the possible advice to not do this thing that she wanted to do.
Yeah, because she could have easily kept that 25 on the patio.
Why didn't they just stay on the patio? They could have had even the whole patio. Maybe don't let them have the corner where it's out in the sun and that's kind of weird. Give them the whole fucking patio. We could have figured it out.
And put the 2 servers that were on the patio on that party.
It would have been fine.
There's absolutely no
reason. And they could have decorated outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
It absolutely would have worked outside too.
Because at the end of the day, whatever 4, 5, 6 people were already there saying like, oh, we kind of want to sit inside. You don't know if any of them are the ones that made the reservation.
Right.
Or if, maybe they felt like they wanted to sit inside, but everyone else would have been fine sitting outside.
Right, especially the people who knew that that's what or thought that that's what they were coming into.
Exactly.
We have a table booked for outside.
Exactly. There was absolutely no reason to bring them inside.
I don't understand the decision at all, and I called it.
Yeah.
And then while this was all... Yeah. And so then...
Well, technically, they didn't even move. They just went to the bar to wait for the private dining area. Yeah, so now we have
16 people standing around the bar area because the bar top is mostly full. Mm-hmm. So there's nowhere for them to sit.
No, they are standing in my way.
Yeah, just gathered around the terminal and around the front end of the bar.
The service well.
Yeah, and I had to ask them to move a few times, very politely. I'm just like, hey, guys. And they were very nice. They were like, oh, my God, we're so sorry. They waited 50 minutes to get that private dining area. So their reservation at 6:00 started at 6:50 when they finally got that table because we got that party out after having 19 split checks is what it ended up being.
18. It was 18 split checks.
18 split checks is what that party of 25 ended up being, and it was a fucking disaster breakdown. The general manager was running checks. Both of the servers were running checks. There was cash being handed around, obviously, at some point, because there wasn't 18 slips. No. Which we found out at the end of the night. So while all of this was happening, like all of the closing out of the 25 and the 16 people gathered just awkwardly in the bar area, because we don't have that much room in the bar area.
No, it's a very small bar area.
Our newer manager, the host manager, walks up to me and I said, "So, have you ever heard a louder ball being dropped?" And he's like, "What?" And I go, and I just gesture to the restaurant.
Just vaguely.
Yeah, and I'm just like, "Have you ever seen a bigger ball having been dropped?" Because what the fuck was she even thinking? I don't get it. I'm not going to get it. It's never going to make sense. And so
the only thing that could justify that, and it doesn't even justify it, the only thing I can think is she's like, the 25 will have a higher check average and bring more profits to the company.
And we want them to be as happy as possible.
Yeah. So the 16, I don't care that it's a proposal. I don't care that it's, meant to be really special. I don't care that they made anything. That 25 is going to have a higher check average because they want drinks, they want entrees. They're probably going to get desserts because it's, this retirement, even though they didn't have a preset menu.
And in fact, they brought their own cake, so they didn't get dessert.
Right. But that's the only thing I could think of why she would make the decision that she did. Right. Was because she wanted them to be as happy as possible because in her mind, they brought more profits than the 16, which sucks. Yeah. Like, it sucks so
for everybody
hard.
Involved, including the servers.
Yeah.
Who had to take it. And so we get the 16 in. And settled, and they end up being fine. Honestly, they were so nice. Like, I
sweet peas, yeah.
Spoke to multiple of the people in the party just when I was like helping out, and they were all so very sweet. So for like
to be standing around the bar for an
50
hour,
minutes, yeah, I would probably be.
I'd be pissed.
I'd be very upset. I'd be like, I don't understand how you double booked this, because this was pre-planned in advance. And in fact, the guy who was proposing came to the restaurant earlier in the night.
Yep.
To say that he was going to speak to one of the servers at some point to maybe include us or have us help with the proposal in some way.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that even ended up happening, because I did see the proposal towards the end.
All of us, the servers, all at the terminal.
Oh my God, we're all waiting. We all know it's happening soon.
Yeah. He did it in a really cute way, though. He waited because apparently they were there to celebrate a birthday.
Right. Yeah. So that's how he got everyone there. It was like a birthday celebration.
Yeah. So, and nobody in the party even knew he was going to do it. He just made this decision on the fly. Like, I'm going to do it now. Which, let's not talk about the fact that this poor girl came in to celebrate her birthday, and then all of a sudden, like, her friend's being proposed to. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't even the proposee's birthday.
No.
It was somebody else's birthday in the friend group.
We're not going to talk about that.
No. Let's brush that to the side.
We're going to pretend like that's not a real
But
thing.
yeah, he waited for the cake to come out, like the dessert.
The picture.
Right. And then everybody gathered for the picture.
Yeah, let's take a picture.
And then he dropped to one knee, and it was very cute.
And she's crying, and all of us are standing at the terminal, like, bated breaths. Like, did she say yes?
Even all of the tables were waiting, because we can hear them. They're shouting. Everybody's screaming. It was sweet.
It
ended up being very sweet. This is the second proposal that I've seen happen at our restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a special time. It's great. We want to make that happen.
But the manager dropped the ball.
Yeah, all I kept thinking is that it could have gone so much better. To then find out at the end of the night that the sweetest of peas server, who ended up closing almost all those checks under her, because the party was split. Like, the 25 was split and the 16 was split, right? Between the same two servers. Mm-hmm. But so she had closed almost all of them underneath her, whether she did it or the general manager helped or the other server helped. All of those
under her card.
All of those got closed under her. So while she was trying to figure out the breakdown for how much goes to that other server,
because that's the thing, it's really odd the way that our restaurant does it, because they don't split the sales like as they're happening. The GM or the manager on site or whatever has to send a copy of all of their seats to corporate at the end of the night to say split the sales between this server and this server, so that we don't have to pay taxes on the whole thing.
Right.
Whoever closed out the checks or whatever.
Right.
So they do it like at the end of the night without our knowledge, without us seeing it or anything like that, which is I've always felt really sketched out about. And the fact that, tables like that, like sometimes servers will try and like, oh, well, you close out half and I'll close out half, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It makes more sense when it's one check. Like, if it's one check, then it's like, okay, I'll close it under me. We'll split the tip out, and then we split
But
the
even
tip out that goes to the restaurant, right? Like we figure it out. But
at
it was
Yard House, it was a button like in the system that the management would just say like they would click on the table and they would split sales and then they would check the two servers to split sales. They did that immediately before we even closed out the checks.
I haven't encountered this before. Sorry, keep going.
No. I was going to say, like, that was something that was immediate. And the tips, obviously, were already in the system as well. So they would split the tips automatically. They would just split tip this server and this server. Like, it was such a streamlined process.
That makes sense.
Maybe because I was at Yard House for so long that, like, I kind of don't remember. At Black Angus, it was so long ago that I'd worked there that they would give you a party of 20 and be like, good fucking luck. And not seat you another table. So, like, you just had that.
Claim Jumper, we took parties of up to 35 or 40 by ourselves.
Yeah, it was.
So there was never another server. No. It was you. Good luck.
Yeah,
and Black Angus was the same. It was the same at Black Angus. And when I used to split, I told you about that like church group that used to come in. Mm-hmm. The other server would take all of the guys, and I would take all of the women. So it's like it was kind of naturally split between the two of us.
Yeah,
and so it evened out that way. Anyways, that's the only other time I've encountered splitting a very, very, very large party. Otherwise, it's either done banquet style, which is entirely different because now they're on a banquet menu and that works super different.
Yeah, and even the system is different.
Right, or it's just under me. Mm-hmm. It's all under me because I did all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black Angus was the same way as it was at Claim Jumper. Like, here's 25, 30 people. Deuces. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Good luck. And, take your time, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the first time that I've encountered, like, having to do that breakdown at the end and being like, oh, the sales were this, let's figure out what the tip out is. You have to pass the table back and forth to figure out
tip out
what the tip out is.
The fact that we have to do that is crazy too. Like, what?
Yeah, well, we didn't used to. The managers used to figure it out. When I started with the company, the managers used to figure it out, and then they would come to us and be like, this is what you are owed, this is what you are owed, you guys owe this at the end. They would figure it out. I don't know when they stopped figuring it out, but I do remember the first day that they looked at me and they went, yeah, you got to go throw the table to the other person and figure out the difference in the tip out. And I go, I have to what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to what?
Talking about?
So at the end of the night, Sweet Pea server is the only one. The other server had fucked off for the night. She got sent home. She was done.
I can't believe that she left before.
Yeah, she didn't get any of her tips or anything.
Anytime that I've ever done a large party here with somebody else, whoever gets cut first and is doing their checkout first is the one that ends up closing the table.
Right, because then you're going to give the money to the other person.
Yeah, like it makes no sense that the other server wasn't the one that ended up closing out those tables and just even if management had to go and reopen all of them to put them back under the other
somebody
server
else,
so that she could close them all out so that they could figure it out while she's doing her checkout
and the other person's still taking tables.
And then everything would have been like kosher and fine.
And this
the most bonkers way that anybody could have ever done anything. Right. And every step of this fucking process
was dropped.
Was like wild.
Everything went wrong from start to finish.
Yeah.
And so she's counting out the slips that she has.
Sweet Pea, yeah.
Yeah, and she's looking at the cash. So it was telling her that she had $200 worth of cash payments. And she was looking at us and being like, I don't have $200 worth of cash.
Right.
I don't have $200 worth of cash.
It was like 130 or something like that was the exact amount of cash that she
I don't have 200 in my hand, but it's like my checkout is telling me that $200 worth of cash has been given to me
to her
throughout the night, and I don't have it. So then it's like, okay, where did it go? Because like I said, it wasn't just her that was closing out checks. It was the other server, as well as the general manager ran multiple cards for them. Did she also collect cash for them? Did she?
And then set it somewhere and put it.
Because at one point in time, we didn't have any check presenters in the restaurant because they were all being used by that party. Mm-hmm. So I don't know I can't say what happened because I don't know. But to have been the closing server last night, and I am like, the parties are long and gone.
Yeah.
And
disappeared.
And she's done with her table. She's been cut. She's already done her side work. And I took the last of the tables, and I was there fairly late. You were there closing with me. Mm-hmm. We're there pretty late. It's pushing 11 o'clock, and she's just.
I walk up to the terminal. She's almost in tears and has all of her receipts.
And she just has 30 receipts in front of her, and she's trying to figure it out. And like she's got her money, and she's like, I don't understand. And that's the other thing. She had already started the checkout process, and they gave her the money that was owed to her. Mm. And all I could think is like, why did they give you any money yet? Like, if you don't have what you're supposed to have at all, don't hand me more money to get convoluted in all of this.
Yeah.
Like, but they did. They gave her the money that was owed to her, and she still didn't have enough.
Yeah.
There still wasn't enough money in that pile to be split between her and the other server and to pay the tip out from those tables. Because we have to give tip out back to the restaurant at the end of the night for whatever our sales were, and she didn't have it. And it was just like, she went over it 5 or 6 times with the manager that was on. And closing.
I went over it with her.
You went over it with her.
I went through every single individual receipt that was on her checkout.
Right.
So that we could find it and put it in order and make sure that the tip was correct.
Right, the tips corresponded and everything.
All of that was great. I took out that was one specific table because obviously our checks print out like the table numbers on them. So I was like, great, let's find that table. I took out all of the receipts for that individual table, put them in order, made sure that like all of them were in there. Like I went through her checkout with her at least 3 times to go through every single receipt and to look at her checkout and just make sure everything matched up. And then I separated the cash for her to be like, okay, well, this is how much you were supposed to make from that party. This is how much your other server would have made from that party.
Right.
If you're saying you didn't give her any money, this is how much that was. You're saying tip out is this much. So, taking that out of the pile of cash that she has and saying, okay, so this is how much tip out was for that. You're telling me that what you're looking at doesn't make sense. And it didn't, because it was like $70. Yeah, it was
So she didn't get her portion of the tip out, or anything from her other tables. Like, what?
Yeah, and there's no way, because I saw the other table, you know what I mean? I'm looking at the other receipts.
Right.
And she made decent money, like, from her other tables as well. Like, those were mostly, 15, 20%.
It didn't add up. It didn't make any fucking sense.
Nothing added up. I felt awful.
I came up to give it another set of eyes, because now I'm done with everything, and I'm looking at this poor, very, very sweet girl. And
I would say and I stayed a good 15, 20 minutes later than we were supposed to, just helping her.
Just trying to figure out, and I'm going through everything that I've ever done, even when I was a supervisor and I closed these out often, right? And I helped other servers close out these large parties. So I'm trying to think of any possible way that this could have gotten, mixed up.
Yep.
And none of it just did not make sense repeatedly over and over and over again. It's just short. Where did the money go?
I don't think the other server would have taken that money. And you've mentioned that as well. You know her a lot better than I do.
I know her fairly well, and I've worked with her for a long time. I know her as a human being, and it wouldn't make any sense for her to just ditch with extra money. She's worked for not only this company for very many years, but she's also just been in the industry so long that it's not going to make any sense for her to steal the money, because what's the first who are we going to go to first?
Her. Exactly.
We're going to be asking her, where's that extra money? And it's like the extra $70 isn't going to pay her bills. Like,
yes, it wouldn't be worth it.
She works consistently. She's here all the time. She does doubles all the time. Like, I don't see that being a possibility. Like, if she decided today to take $70, it's like, well, that's odd. Like, that'd be super fucking weird.
Wild. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it was her. The only thing I could think is that the table, like, left cash. Like, some of those checks left cash. They were closed under Sweet Pea's card.
Yeah.
Because the general manager had grabbed them or whatever. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, I'll give this to them. I'll put this here to give to them later. That's what
I thought. Could she possibly have set it aside? And I guess the closing manager was even on the phone with her, trying to talk to the GM, and she just wasn't being very helpful. And
No, it's shocking.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where it went wrong, and I was not watching all of it. I was, handling my own thing during this time, so I wasn't aware of all of it. But I didn't see any cash in the manager's hand. And I don't think she would have taken it. She makes plenty of money just being the general manager. I just feel like maybe she set it aside and misplaced it or something. Yeah. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But
I mean, cash obviously got misplaced.
Yeah.
It's just about who misplaced it,
and
what
when,
happened,
where, and why. And how can we stop this from happening again?
In the future, exactly.
A bare minimum, can we just not do 19 fucking split checks?
I can't believe they even took that reservation. That is wild to me.
If somebody were to call me and I just happened to answer the phone at work, and they were like, yeah, so we're going to have 20 people, 20 split checks. I go, no, you're not.
No, the fuck you're not.
No, we'd really appreciate it if you didn't do that. Like, yes, our system allows us to have 20 checks open, but, like, can anybody just not fucking understand how confusing that can get? Yeah. Where I'm moving everything from one table to 20 separate checks. Especially when you have people that get up and move around, or like the worst, when you get to the end of the party and you think it's going to be one check because they fucking told you it was going to be one check, and then they're like, actually, we're going to have
18.
Yeah, 10 or 12 split checks, and it's like, I'm with that guy over there in the blue hat, and it's like, great, I don't fucking know that guy, and I don't remember what he ate because he moved seats 3 times tonight. How about you guys all, like, I don't know if you know this, but Venmo's a thing, Cash App is a thing, Zelle is an amazing thing, it's done through your bank account, you don't even have to fucking question it, nobody's stealing your money, you just fucking Zelle it to somebody else, or God forbid, just carry cash. Dude, does cash not exist in this world anymore? You just can't fucking carry cash.
I think Apple Pay you can do from phone to phone too. Don't quote me on that. I'm not at 100%, but because I've never done it, but I feel like Apple Pay you can just pay somebody through your phone to their phone.
Can we all just get together and understand that like max 7 or 8? Like for very large parties, like can we dole it down? Because like 8 for me, because our the way our computer screen is laid out, that's 2 pages of 4 because it does it by 4 checks, right?
Right.
Okay, I can scroll through 2 pages of 4, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Like I can make that make sense. But you want me to do fucking 8 pages of 4? Like get the fuck out of here. That's insane. I don't know. And it's like, doesn't anybody want the points on their credit card anymore? Like
they all want it. That's the problem.
that used to be a thing with me and my friends. It's like, who's got the credit card with all the points? You know, who wants the miles or whatever the fuck it is? Because that's the person that would pay for everything, and then we all just dish everything out to to that person. And this is even before Venmo was a thing. Like we just paid that person cash, or it was like, hey, I'll come by your house tomorrow, or the next time I see you, I'm gonna give you that $50. Like, can we, what do you hate your friends? Like, you don't trust fucking any of them? Like, we're all shit people and we can't just, like, fucking, just, I don't know. In so many ways, so many things went wrong. And then I believe that the main issue was the rush to close the checks.
Yeah, because they wanted to get that 16 in there.
We had to frantically, well, not we, but they had to frantically get 19 checks closed. Because that party of 16 that was promised that room still wanted it.
Yep.
And that party of 25, when it hit it was like 5:50, right? That party of 25 was snug as a bug. Like those people.
Absolutely. They were there for the night.
They hadn't even finished their food yet. And I knew that they had a large cake in the fridge. Mm-hmm. And that's all I could think is like those people are tucked into those chairs. And you would think that you have every right to it. If I had a party and I show up and they're like, hey, this is going to be your room. Now, granted, management did tell them we need you out by 6. So
management told 7 people we need you out by 6. They didn't go in there and tell each and every single one of them, hey, by the way, we need you out by 6. But it is pretty
shitty of those 7 people to just be like, fuck it. We've got this nice room. We're just going to stay here. It's shitty on them a little bit. But more so, it's just none of it should have happened.
No.
It shouldn't have happened that way. And then we shouldn't have had to rush close 18 different fucking checks to get them out, because obviously like that's when things go wrong, is when it's all jumbled together and there's a mad panic to get it all done and so fast.
And you have multiple people touching this money.
Multiple.
Not just the servers taking care of the party, but you now have management touching the money. You have multiple servers touching the money. When you have more than
and then you're instructing the bussers to get in there and bust the entire table within moments.
Yeah.
Moments of the 25 leaving, we had bussers in there with bus tubs and everything. Who's to say that some of that money didn't get tossed into a bus tub?
One of the bussers was talking to me about that, and he was like, yeah, they asked me to like go in there and start cleaning, and they were like still there. And he's like, I'm not doing that. They told him to go in there with a bus tub while people were still sitting there to make them leave. And he was like, no.
No, and also it should just never have to happen that way. No, it doesn't need to happen. At 4:00, this all could have been solved by it just never happening.
Yeah, by just telling them like, hey, I'm really sorry. We have that room booked for the night. This is where you guys booked it.
I'm sorry. You guys booked an outside table. That's where you're stuck.
Yep.
I don't know. And then today, both of those servers had to have a sit down with 2 of the managers to go over everything and try to figure out what happened, to which we never came to a conclusion. There is no conclusion as to what happened or how the money got lost. The servers did end up making the money that they were supposed to make, or at least very close to it, I do believe. They made very, very close to, if not the money they were supposed to have made from both of those parties. Mm-hmm. So it was covered by management, and rightfully so.
As it should be.
I don't fucking know.
I don't see those servers taking large parties for a while. I could 100% see management going up to them like, so you have this large party? And they're like, no, I don't.
No, I don't. Put somebody else on it.
Yeah.
Sorry. And Sweet
I
Pea
wouldn't.
has been burned before.
I know.
She has had other instances where large parties have gone to absolute shit to no fault of her own.
No, she's a good server.
She is a very strong server. She is so good with her guests. And I told her, I was like, don't do it. Don't take any more large parties. Don't do it. They consistently put her on large parties. They told her, we put you on large parties because you do such a good job and nobody ever complains. They don't get pushback from her. Because a lot of the other servers, and rightfully so, we go, fuck that.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. It's our job to take tables, and sometimes large parties are those tables. But with the way it is handled here, we don't fucking want to do it.
I was going to say the only time I ever give pushback is depending on who they're putting me on the party with.
Yeah.
And even...
Yeah, we've spoken about this.
And even then, it's very much just like, can anyone else take it? I'm not saying I'm not going to take the party. I'm saying I'll take it with somebody else.
Right.
I'm not taking it with that person. I'll take it with somebody else.
That was me last night when they wanted to put the 16 in my section and the other guy's section, right? And they were like, hey, you guys are going to take it together. I said, listen, that's fine. No questions asked. Whatever you need of me, I'll do it. But please also understand that this isn't the table that table wanted.
Yeah.
I wasn't even arguing the table itself.
That's a valid pushback, yeah.
I was like, are you sure? Because now we're sticking people in the middle. I don't know.
Yeah, in the very middle of the restaurant, in between like multiple other tables that would have been sitting there.
And two large doors. And
yeah, it was very much wide open in the middle of everything.
And they would have been crammed up against this pillar where like one person wouldn't have been able to move once they got into their seat.
Yeah. No, that was very valid pushback. But no, I would say if I got burned even half as bad as those two servers last night, the rest of my career at this in this restaurant, if they looked at me and be like, so this large party, like, and I'd walk away.
No,
it's not going to be me. You know what? You can tell me whatever you want. At the end of the day, you will never see me at that party because I'm not walking up to it.
No.
Like, and I'll tell the other server that too. Like, hey, you might want to find somebody else to split this party with because I'm not fucking doing it. Like, if it got
get
to
a manager to help you run it because they can't claim the sales at the end of the night either way. So
if it got to a point where management was like, no, you're gonna take this party, watch me.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not. Like, watch me not take the fucking table. Like, if half as bad as those servers got burned, I would never take another large party for this place. And that I would have to split with somebody else. I would take 8s and 9s.
Atrocious. I couldn't, but
That's so bad.
Ready to check out?
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.